Let me bring in WQA's Government Affairs Director, Jeremy Pollack, to give us specifics about the EPA's rule on PFAS. Jeremy, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes, and that's a great question. The EPA published its first national primary drinking water regulation for PFAS chemicals. And so this includes an enforceable maximum contaminant level for PFOA at 4 parts per trillion, PFOS at 4 parts per trillion, PFHS, PFNA, and Gen X chemicals all at 10 parts per trillion each, along with a hazard index, which is a mixture of 2 or more PFAS contaminants. This is extremely important in combating PFAS in drinking water across the country, as these enforceable regulations will go into effect in 3 years, starting with municipalities and utilities having to monitor for these chemicals, then report to the public in their reports if these chemicals are in their water.
Okay, so that's very interesting. And when will this take effect?
Great question. The rule goes into effect starting in 3 years in 2027. By then, utilities and municipalities will need to monitor for these PFAS chemicals and report to the public if it's in their water supply. 2 years after that, so in 5 years from now, municipalities will then have to react by reducing PFAS if there is a violation. So if it's above the MCL amounts, they'll have to start providing some solutions within their plant or at someone's home.
To talk about that with us, we've got Kristen Kirstens, who's the Director of Toxicology for the Water Quality Association. Also in this segment of the program, we have Zach Gleason, who is the Director of the Laboratory at WQA. Hey, Kristen, maybe we start with you just to kind of get that high-level view of PFAS. Tell us about what it is and why we should be concerned.
Yeah, so PFAS has been referred to as forever chemicals, ones that really don't break down naturally in the environment. The major health concerns associated with them is that they have what's referred to as a constellation of effects. There's lots of different issues that have been noticed in animal testing and human epidemiological studies. The several that the EPA have recently regulated, a few of them have been determined that they have cancer effects. And a few of them they've grouped together in a hazard index because they have similar effects on the human body. So they've been measured as a mixture instead of individually, as we've traditionally done with human health chemical risk assessments.
So, Zach, what challenges do laboratories like the WQA lab face in testing for PFAS and the new limits set by the EPA rule?
Yeah, so I think, I guess to tie that into your last question, really, that's part of what WQA is doing too, right? And what the standards committee is doing is developing a standard that has meaning for the consumer so that they can have confidence that their product is removing these chemicals. So, always encourage people when they're buying a product, if they're worried about a chemical, to really look for that certified product. So I just kind of want to reiterate that first. But as far as challenges that we're facing, lots of new technologies, right? Some brand new approaches to removing chemicals are coming through the lab. And that means we want to put those through their paces and make sure that we're testing them in the appropriate way, and adapting the standard quickly is a big challenge there because we need consensus and we need to understand how these things are working.
How do you see this affecting the water treatment industry?
So I do think that we will continue to see a shift towards valuing treatment right at the tap, that final barrier, which is what WQA is all about.
Kristen?
Yeah. If I could just piggyback on that, that's what I was thinking was the final barrier concept. This is really a set of contaminants that shows how important that is. If we're only consuming 1% of the water that comes into our home, the easiest solution is to get a POU, or point of entry type product that can remove these compounds from your home. And we have several products already certified to the, existing levels in the standard that are showing that they can remove these contaminants. So getting one of those today or tomorrow can alleviate some concerns.